Hello everyone, my name is Curtis. Today I'm going to talk about Sistas, Season 9, Episode 22. Before I get started, I do want to talk about Season 10 really quickly. So it appears that Season 10 is going to start on January 7, 2026. Once again, that's January 7, 2026, which is 3 weeks from now. And I do plan to review Season 10. Alright, so now that I got that out of the way, let's get started with the review. So the episode actually started off with the montage. So we started off by seeing Zach and Fatima in bed. Then we saw Karen and Aaron in bed. Then we saw Maurice and Dylan in bed. And then we saw Andy, who was knocked out on the couch. Her mom comes into the living room, sees that she is asleep, so she takes one of the pillows and hits her with the pillow. I thought that was kind of funny. And so Andy does wake up. She's like, "What are you doing?" So she does sit down next to her and she's like, "You know what? How was your night?" And she says, "Well, you know what? The night was cool." But then she's like, "Why is it so bright in here? Why do I have a headache?" So her mom was like, "Well, that's probably because you have a hangover, but that's okay because I'm going to make some pancakes to make you feel better." Andy was like, "Wait a minute, hold on for a second. I just told you that I have a headache. I'm complaining about how bright it is inside of here. Like, you were not going to say anything about me being too old to have hangovers. Like, this is why I do not have a man. This is why I do not have a family. Like, you're not going to say anything." She was like, "Well, it sounds like you're saying everything for me, but it doesn't even matter because you know what? I'm going to make you some pancakes and you're going to feel much better." We then go to Sabrina's house and we see Sabrina. She gets out of bed. She's walking real slow. It looks like she may be in some kind of pain, but she starts walking through her apartment. And as she's walking through her apartment, she looks over to her right and she sees that Rich is sleeping on her couch. She was just like, "Wait a minute, hold on, what's going on here?" And so Rich, he does wake up and he does stand up. And he's just like, "Hey Sabrina, I just want to let you know that nothing happened between us. I just brought you home. I promise nothing happened." So she was just like, "Wait a minute, hold on. Were you at the club, like the gay club?" He was like, "Yeah, I did go to the club, but the only reason why I was there was because Zach called me and told me that you were throwing up. So I wanted to come to make sure that you were good, but when I got there, I realized that you were not good." She tells him that the reason why she was throwing up was because of the shots that Maurice gave her. And then she says, "Well, you know, when it comes to the girls, one of them would have took me home, right?" He was like, "Yeah, that's true, but you actually told me that you wanted me to take you home." And he said, "You stated verbatim that you missed me and that you wanted me to take you home, so that's what I did." He also told her that Fatima told him that if he tried to take advantage of Sabrina when she was in that state, that she was going to hit him with a baseball bat, and I do believe that. She tells him that he did not have to do all of that, but he's like, "Listen, it's no issue, it's no problem, did not mind." And then he received a text message from Tony because those two are supposed to be going to the gym. So Sabrina's like, "You know, before you go, let me make you some coffee. Do you have some time?" He's like, "You know what, I may have 15 minutes to spare." She's like, "Okay, good." I know he was happy as hell when she asked him that question. We then go to Danny's apartment. We see her inside the bed, and we see that somebody's laying next to her. And it turns out to be Officer Green. I was just like, "Oh my god." She was like, "Wait a minute, hold on for a second. How did you get here?" He was like, "I brought you home, remember?" She was like, "Oh, okay, but why are you still here?" He was like, "Well, I got tired after we finished fucking." So she was like, "Oh my god, I thought that was a dream." And he was like, "Wait a minute, so you don't remember throwing me on the bed?" So she's like, "Oh my god, I got a headache." He was like, "Why don't you come back to bed so we can do round six?" She was like, "Oh my god, we fucked 5 times." We then go back to Andy's place, and y'all, Andy is fucking those pancakes up. Do you hear me? And so when it comes to her mom, she says, "You know what? I would teach you how to make the pancakes, but based on your kitchen, the pots and the pans, it doesn't look like you use them a lot, so I'm just going to keep the recipe to myself." I thought that was kind of funny. But then Andy, she does kind of pivot, and she's like, "You know what? I want to talk to you about last night. Like, how was it? I was really concerned." And she said, "You know what? Last night was pretty good. Like, I felt free. I felt like myself." She was like, "Oh, okay, you felt free and like yourself at Bible study?" She was like, "Yeah, you know, it was really enlightening." And so the two of them, they do have like a small little conversation. But then her mom was like, "You know what? I want to tell you the real reason why I'm here." So Andy was like, "What's going on?" She's like, "Well, the real reason why I'm here is because I wanted to let you know that I was recently diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer." Andy was like, "Wait a minute, hold on for a second. First of all, when were you first told that you were diagnosed with breast cancer? Secondly, did they catch it in time? Third, why didn't you tell me?" She tells Andy that she actually found out about this 2 months prior, and the reason why she did not tell Andy was because Andy was busy. Andy was like, "I can never be too busy for this news. Like, you should have told me." She then asked if the doctors were able to get rid of the cancer because her mom said that she had the best doctors in Florida. So she was like, "Well, it's too early to determine if they got rid of everything, but what I can tell you is that the cancer has not spread." Andy was just like, "Oh my God, is that the reason why you almost fainted?" And she was like, "Well, the reason why I almost fainted was because I didn't take my medication." And so Andy, she starts to get very flustered. And she's like, "Listen to me. If you stay here, I can get you the best doctor in the city. I can make sure everything is taken care of." And so her mom was like, "No, everything's okay. Everything is fine. I just wanted to let you know." So Andy was like, "Well, you know what? I'll move to Florida." She was like, "What?" She was like, "Yeah, I always like Florida. I can move down there and take care of you." So she was just like, listen to me. I need you to stay in Atlanta, live your life, and be the most successful lawyer that you can possibly be. And then she was like, you know what? I want you to pray with me. And so as they were praying, Andy started to cry, and I felt so bad for both of them. We then go back to Sabrina's place, and she did make Rich coffee like she said that she would. And so Rich was like, you didn't put anything in it. It's like poison. She was like, no, I did not put anything in it. And then he's like, you know what? How's your hangover? And she says, you know what? With ibuprofen and this coffee, I should be good. And then she was like, so when it comes to Zach, you said that he called you. Are you two cool now? Like you two are hanging out? He was like, yeah, that's my guy. Rich then tells her that he plans to fall back because it's clear that she is still upset about what happened. And then he says, no, I cannot expect you to take me back in a situation like you saw me at the juice bar. You saw me in Penelope. That's something that's going to be engraved in your brain. So I cannot expect you to get over that. And then he says, you know, when it comes to our relationship in general, we were having issues prior to the Penelope situation. And she was like, yeah, that's true. It appears as if she is getting ready to say something else, but he does cut her off. And it's just like, listen to me. I know I was coming off strong, I was coming off thirsty, but the reason why I was doing that was because I wanted to fight for us. And then he's like, you know, when it comes to overall boundaries, I know that you are really firm on the fact that you have boundaries. And I clearly stepped over that. So, you know, I do apologize. I'm sorry. Then he emphasizes the fact that he is going to fall back. He's not going to pop up. Basically, he's not going to stalk her anymore. He asks her if the two of them can be friends. Before she can answer the question, he does receive a text message from Tony. So it's like, oh shit, I need to meet up with Tony, but you know, we can talk a little bit later at Zach and Fatima's. She's like, Zach and Fatima's? He was like, yeah, remember they're having a cookout? She was like, oh, right. So it's like, you know what? I need to leave. And so she does give him a hug. I thought that she was going to give him a kiss, but he does end up leaving after that. Back at Danny's, her and Officer Green are having a conversation. And so he is really trying his hardest to get her to get back in bed. She was like, I cannot get back in bed with you because if I do, I'm probably going to end up pregnant. He was like, I don't mind that. So then she starts thinking like, wait a minute, did we use a condom? He was like, yes, you were adamant about the fact that you wanted to use one, so we definitely did use it. She tells him that he needs to leave. He was like, are you sure I need to leave? She was like, yes. He was like, come on, let's just go back to bed. Let's just pick up where we left off. She's like, no, I need you to leave. And then next thing you know, we see the door open. Then we see Tony walk in. I was like, oh, shit. Tony was like, who the hell is this? She was like, he is just a friend. Officer Green was like, wait a minute, hold on. So I'm just a friend to you now? And so Tony was like, damn, that quick? And so she was like, listen to me. He is the person that helped us find Karen. And so Officer Green was like, listen, don't worry about me, bro. Tony looked at him like, first of all, nobody's talking to you, bitch, so you need to shut the fuck up and mind your business. And then Officer Green was like, well, I got you, bitch. And then next thing you know, he runs up on Tony. And then before you know it, they get into a full fist fight. And it was a nice little back and forth initially, but Tony was able to grab him, throw him into the other room. He got on top of him. It looks like he's getting ready to start beating his ass, but Danny does grab his arm and makes him stop. She tells Officer Green to leave. He's like, you know what? If you want me, you know where to find me. Then he ends up leaving. And then she tries to explain herself to Tony, but Tony's like, listen to me. What you did was unforgivable. I do not want you to talk to me ever again. Do not call me. Do not text me. Nothing. And then he leaves. We then go to the front of Zach and Fatima's house and we see Mr. Keys. And as Mr. Keys is walking up to the door, he receives a phone call. And once he answers the phone, he does pretty much admit that he is Zach's father. And y'all, I was so confused. And also, when it comes to Fatima, she was actually on the balcony as he picked up the phone, so she did overhear some of the conversation. But this part did kind of confuse me because I'm just like, wait a minute. Didn't Zach say that the last time he saw his father was when he was like 4 or 5 years old? You mean to tell me that he doesn't remember what his father sounds like? He doesn't remember what his father looks like? I know his childhood was fucked up. I know his life was fucked up in general, but I'm just like, you did not remember anything about your father? I felt like that was kind of weird. But then I remember that this is Tyler Perry's world, which means that it doesn't have to make sense to us. It only has to make sense to him. And you know what? I'm okay with that. And then also when it comes to Fatima, she did go back inside before Mr. Keys got off of the phone. So he did not see that she was on the balcony. There was a quick scene after this that involved Karen, Aaron, and Karen's mom. And to summarize it really quickly, Karen's mom was able to get a VA consultant position at an Air Force base that is south of Seattle. So she is going to go to Seattle with them. Back at Zach and Fatima's, we see Zach, we see Mr. Keys, they are manning the grill, and then Fatima actually comes over, and Mr. Keys is like, oh my God, hi, how are you doing? I heard so much about you, heard all wonderful things, congratulations on the baby. And Fatima was just looking at him like, She was just like, so when it comes to Zach's father and you all were best friends? He was like, yeah, we go back over 50 years. She was like, okay, so that means you know Zach's mom, right? He was like, yeah, we ran in the same circles. She was like, okay. So that means that you have known about Zach for a very long time. And so Zach, he can see that things are getting ready to get awkward. So he's like, hey, Mr. Keys, do you mind going inside and get me a beer? Mr. Keys was like, sure. As he is walking away, Zach is just like, what are you doing, Fatima? She was like, listen, I'm not sure what it is about Mr. Keys, but something is off. And so Zach was like, can you please not do this now? She was like, I don't know, Zach, it's something. He was like, listen to me. I do not want any drama. I do not want any gossip. I just want to have peace at this cookout. Can you please promise me that? So it does take her a while, but she's like, you know what? Fine, whatever. We then see Karen, Aaron, and the baby, so they all were able to make it to the cookout. Karen and Aaron do walk up to Zach and Fatima, like, hey, no, we just stopped by really quickly. Just wanted to show our faces before we left. And they were like, you know what? Thank you so much for coming. And Karen says, you know, when it comes to the baby, I need to change the baby. Is it possible that I can go inside so I can change the baby? Fatima was like, sure, let me take you inside. There's a quick scene after this where Danni tries to call Tony. She gets the voice message. Then Sabrina calls Danni as she's getting ready to walk inside of Zach and Fatima's house, and she tells her that she's thinking about getting back with Rich. She tells her that she doesn't have time for that shit and hangs up on Sabrina. I was like, well, damn, Danni. There was another quick scene after this, so Danni, she does make it inside of Zach and Fatima's house, and Fatima can tell that something is off because Danni is just like, you know what, I just came to say hi to Karen, say hi to Aaron, tell them that I'm going to miss them, and then I'm going to leave. Fatima's like, what's going on, what's wrong? And so she does admit to Fatima that she did have sex with Officer Green. And then she says, you know what, Fatima, I need you to keep this between us. And Fatima's like, you know what, I got you. We then see Sabrina. She is sitting inside of her car. She's getting ready to drive to the cookout when she gets a call from Paige. Paige tells her that she actually lost the key to the vault. Sabrina was like, oh my God, are there customers there? She's like, yes, about 10 of them. She was like, I called Maurice, but Maurice told me to go to hell. And so Sabrina was like, you know what? I will get there. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be okay. And then she's like, you know what? Now that I'm doing this, I'm going to be late for the cookout. And as she is saying this, we see this car just speed up and hit her. And y'all, it was in slow motion. I talked about this in my season 10 video that I made. You all should go watch that. But the car does hit her and it goes in slow motion. She goes this way. The objects inside of her car go that way. She actually starts to flip over. And I was like, oh, not Sabrina, no. There's another quick scene after this where Andy and her mom arrive over at Zach and Fatima's house. And when they come in, Andy's mom decides to throw shade at Danni. She says that she looks sweaty as if she just ran a marathon. Then she looks over at Fatima. She's like, you know what? I'm so glad to hear that you and my daughter made amends when it came to your work situation. Fatima was not trying to have that. So she's like, yeah, we did. But you know what? There's some food in there. You should go in there and get some. And so as they are having this conversation, Mr. Keys actually walks by and he's like, oh, hey, I didn't know you were going to be here. And she was like, yes, it's a pleasant surprise, right? And so then next thing you know, Andy's mom actually walks off with Mr. Keys. And so Andy was like, who the hell is that? But Tim was like, that's one of Zach's friends that I do not trust. Andy was like, well, if you don't trust him, I don't either. Her mom and Mr. Keys go outside and they have a conversation. And she's like, wow, I cannot believe we shut the bar down like that. He was like, yeah, well, when it comes to your ears, I did take them hostage. And she says, you know, when it comes to your stories, I could listen to them all night. Then he says, when it comes to your smile, I could look at your smile all night. So then she's like, well, let me ask you a question. When it comes to Zach, what is that relationship about? He was like, well, Zach and I were trying to get to know each other. So she's like, okay, well, when it comes to what happened at the bar, I need you to keep that between us because I told Andy that was that Bible study. He was like, my lips are sealed. She was like, not for long. I said, ooh, Valerie, I see you. As they are talking, Andy actually walks up and tries to get into their conversation. Her mom was like, what did I tell you about getting into grown folks' business? Andy was like, I'm not sure if you realize this, but I'm grown. And she says, I'm not sure if you realize this, but I'm actually growner, so I need you to stay out of this and mind your fucking business. Her mom then asks for a drink, and so Andy was like, you know what, let me talk to you for a second. So she actually pulls her away. Her mom was like, what the hell are you doing? She was like, well, when it comes to drinking, I'm not sure if you should do that with the cancer. So her mom was like, listen to me, I'm not dying. Then even if I was dying, I would like to go out feeling good. Andy tells her that she is just worried about her. And she's like, listen to me, I am okay. Everything is fine. If I want to drink, I'm going to drink. Like, you can't stop me from drinking. Like, what are you doing? And so she was like, you know, when it comes to drinking, like, when have you ever been so pressed to drink? And then also this man that you're talking to, who is this guy? And so she actually looks over at Mr. Keys and she's like, can you please give me a drink? So he's like, sure thing. And then he walks past. And then Andy was like, you know, you were doing the absolute most. Her mom was like, and you are as well. And then she walks away. And it's important to note that Andy did get some type of alert on her phone. I'm not sure what the alert was, but she did look very concerned when she looked at it. A little while later, we saw Zach, we saw Fatima, we saw Andy, we saw Danny, we saw Maurice, we saw Pam, we saw Dylan. They were all standing outside of Zach and Fatima's house. Karen tells her that she does not understand, like, why is it taking Sabrina so long? Like, what is going on? And so Aaron looks down at his watch and he's like, babe, we need to leave soon. And so Pam was like, do you really need to leave right now? Like, what's the rush? And Karen was like, listen, we are trying to start the next chapter of our lives, and this is what we feel is best for our family, so that's why we need to leave right now. And speaking of family, she does say that leaving does feel very bittersweet because she feels like her sister circle, along with Maurice, of course, and Zach, everybody feels like family to her, and she doesn't feel like she's going to find that anywhere else, so it is quite bittersweet. And then once again, Aaron's like, I'm not trying to break up this, beautiful moment, but we need to get going. So she's like, you know what, let's just do one more round of hugs. And so she does hug everybody. Danny and Andy tell Karen that they love her and that when it comes to the sisterhood, they're going to be sisters for life. And then when it comes to Karen and Aaron, they do end up leaving. And then Andy and Danny have a conversation. They both agree that they are going to go to Seattle to visit Karen. Andy then brings up the previous night. Danny was like, listen to me, I do not want to talk about it. Andy was like, well, I want to talk about Officer Green because he's not a good person. Danny was like, well, I mean, it doesn't really matter at this point because we already fucked. And everybody's like, wait, you two had sex? Next thing you know, Andy's car alarm starts going off. So she was like, oh, okay, let me just go over there and see what's going on. So as she is walking towards the car, the group, they turn around, they get her to walk into the house. And then next thing you know, Andy's car blows up. I'm like, what the hell is going on? And that was the end of the episode. I must say I am looking forward to season 10. I wasn't expecting it to come back within 3 weeks, but you know what, that's okay. I'm definitely looking forward to it. But if you all could, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. Hope you have a great rest of your day. Take care.